everyone from wherever you're tuned in from around the world. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Vuyo Joboda Show right here on VN. I am your darling Vuyo Joboda, and on this show I get to sit down with inspiring leaders, the brightest minds, and of course celebrated stars from all around the world. And they get to share their journey and their story with you right here on the show. Today on the show I have a very special guest. She's a queen. She's fabulous, darling. And she is Luyanda Duma. But before I introduce you to her, have a look at what to expect on this episode. Check this out. MC, if you were to share to anyone watching and explain who Luyanda Duma is, what would those words and description be?
Very loud, flamboyant, energetic. My parents did the very best that they could to provide me with a life that I now appreciate, and I see that everything that I am, the woman I'm becoming, is really shaped from those opportunities and everything that allowed me to do. I was so curious that I wanted to know what other places, had to offer me. And I think I knew at that age that growth comes when you're uncomfortable. As a small business, you never think of the importance of how you manage your people, because they are your biggest assets, but they can also become your biggest cost.
Of course, she's fierce and fabulous, ladies and gents. She is a queen in her own right, and she is in the HR and personal and professional branding space, doing very well in it, as we all know. Help me come and welcome onto the show the one and only Luyanda Duma.
Boom, 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 boom.
I can hear the audience is going, yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show, looking fabulous.
Thank you for having me. Likewise.
Yes.
I think I got the memo.
Yes.
Ne? Fabulosity.
Yes. Fabulosity reigns supreme. But listen, I'm so happy you came. This is our first time meeting.
Actually.
Wow.
But it also feels like we've known each other for such a long time.
Yeah, that's
the conversations
like,
are just flowing.
But that's the power of social media. That's the power of connectivity. It really gets to share how we can connect from various parts of the world, from the country, just by, having a similar goal and vision in mind, right?
Love that. That's
and
true.
that's just being fearless queens, right? But let's introduce Luyanda Duma to our peeps. They are wondering, who's this gorgeous person on our screens? MC, if you were to share to anyone watching and explain who Luyanda Duma is, what would those words and description be?
Well, I always get confused when I have to describe myself because I never know where to start.
Yeah.
But I think let's take it from the top. My name was Luyanda Duma, born and bred in Durban, KZN. I lived there my whole life, grew up there, and then relocated to Joburg, which is where I then started my higher education studies. I went to UJ, studied BCom in industrial psychology, further did my honors in human resources management, completed a course in personal branding. And I think I've always been passionate about, people management, talent management, and helping people, craft themselves in a way that they're able to show up as their highest version. So, which is still in the space of HR. We have a function called talent management, but now I get to practice talent management in various industries with my now newly developed company within the entertainment industry as well. So I am an HR enthusiast first and foremost. I believe in HR. I believe in helping you craft your CV, helping you position yourself, for you to add value within the organizations. That's what I'm passionate about. And then secondly, I run businesses, so I'm a female entrepreneur, a speaker, conversationalist. I love conversation. I love talking. And that's who I am.
Oh man, you summed it up so nicely for us, and you've given us so much to unpack. Right, and we're going to be doing exactly that on the show. Now let's take it back to Durban, right? The coastal city. What type of child was Luyanda? Were you the curious one that's put in front of the family gatherings to do the dancing?
Honey, you don't need to put me. I will place myself. I knew my space. I always knew my space. Being popular, cool, very loud, flamboyant, energetic. And I literally used to take up space. I was always the child that was made to dance. I remember me and my cousins we used to call ourselves Stephanie's child. So every gathering would perform. And I think I started modeling at a very young age. So I think that's where that confidence was built, the ability to stand in front of people and just command their attention, I think it's something that is, I got from a very young age. But my childhood was amazing. I wouldn't lie. I think my parents did the very best that they could to provide me with a life that I now appreciate, and I see that everything that I am, the woman I'm becoming, is really shaped from those opportunities and everything that allowed me to do. And I think also embracing the fact that I was Leongane Papile, because now I get to use my voice. I'm not afraid to speak my mind. And I think I'm such a go-getter because, you know, the environment allowed me to grow up and become a woman like that.
Oh, Papile, but for a course.
Of course.
And then the move to Johannesburg, what inspired that, you know, because it could have been anywhere else in the country or in the continent or around the world, but you chose to come to Johannesburg to further your education. What attracted you about Joburg that called your name?
The city of gold. I think it's knowing that that's where all dreams are made of, and that's where a lot of people sort of realize their wildest dreams. And I was so fascinated by the idea of being in a city that will unlock my wildest dreams and everything that I've thought of myself to become. I think growing up in Durban, it's not really a small, you know, town or city. I grew up in a township, and I think, you know, as a township girl, looking at the condition and the circumstances around you, and, you know, luckily for me, I grew up in a very good home where, you know, my parents could afford to give me the best education, extramural activities, sports, everything that I needed, you know. So I was exposed to the finer things in life. And I think from there, I knew that I wanted more for myself. I wanted more from just, you know, being in Durban. I was so curious that I wanted to know what other places, you know, had to offer me. And I think I knew at that age that growth comes when you're uncomfortable. And I also think, you know, having a lot of family members in Joburg, that was the second reason why I thought, yes, Joburg, where I belong. I looked at my older sisters, I was looking at the life they were living, and I thought, yes, that's where I belong, you know, in a space where I get to become the woman of my dreams. And that's how, you know, I was like, okay, when everybody was applying at UKZA, and if you ask me in matric, okay, Luyanda, where are you going? I'd be like, Wits or Huge, and everybody would be like, oh. And I was like, guys, I'm ready. I literally just want to see the other side of life and what it has to offer.
Yeah, and the City of Gold exposing you to what I guess you wanted from the inner child within you, that explorative and being curious. And being able to do that in the city is exciting. But coming to UJ, what then propelled you to study HR or be in the or to take that direction within what you're studying?
I love that question because I don't think anyone grows up thinking I want to be an HR practitioner, because I think when we think HR, we think hire and fire, right? Yeah. And I think initially when I left, I wanted to be in forensics. I think that was because I was watching too much CSI.
Interesting.
Had no idea what I was getting myself into, blood, you know, all these things.
Yeah.
Now it freaks me out.
Yeah.
So I obviously then applied for, I think it was a degree in microbiology or something like that, and I was on the waiting list. And I remember receiving a call from UJ saying, hey, you're on the waiting list for this course, but we do have available courses where you can literally just start. And I remember the guy listing the courses, and I was like, okay, I've heard of everything else, but I've never heard of this industrial psychology that you know, talk of. And the guy's like, oh yeah, it's in your degree, BCom, and I'm like, okay, cool, sign me up. Right?
Wow.
And I'm not telling my parents that I'm now relocating for a different course. I was like, sign me up. Let me see what this thing is about, and then I'll come back and then let them know it's okay.
Yes.
I decided to change my mind. I remember then going into the first class, and they were speaking about human behavior in the workplace. And I knew I was in the right place. I was like, God, is this you?
Yes.
And then that's how I sort of did industrial psychology. And then one of my majors was human resources management. And I thought, well, I'm all about redefining and changing, you know, the typical perception of, you know, what the world of work, woman, myself. And I thought, this is what people know about, you know, what HR is. But this is actually what we're studying. These are the trends. And I think this is, you know, where I want to use my voice to educate people, because I also think that our careers is probably one of the biggest aspect of our life, right? We spend most of our time there. It shapes and groups who, you know, who we become and ultimately how we show up. So how is it that there is nobody sort of guiding us in this big space in our life, right? And I thought that's exactly what I want to do for young people, because we walk into this space of varsity not knowing what we want to do. Then we go into the world of work not knowing what to do. So I thought I really want to become the voice of let me get you geared up for varsity. Let me get you geared up for the world of work. How do you use your skills and so forth? So from there, I just fell in love with the idea of just developing people.
Now, as you're speaking, I am asking myself this question, and I'm wondering, and I obviously am going to pose that question to you, because it is one worth finding out about. So being a young woman, right, you are curious, you have bright ideas and a big vision for yourself, but you're coming into a world where, opinionated women, to some extent, are often silenced, are often told, dim your light a little bit. What about you and your upbringing and being this woman who's, curious, enabled you to fight through that, to still continue wanting to ensure that your voice stands out, your voice, what you're saying and who you are is not dimmed down? I don't know if you get the context of that question.
I do. And I think only when asked and when I have conversations like that, I actually am reminded, because I don't usually think about it. I'd never ask myself, Wuti, have you ever sit down with myself and be like, Luyanda, where does it come from? Why are you so unapologetic? Why are you not scared,
Yeah.
And I think I literally have to take it back to my family and my upbringing, because I come from a family that is, got strong men and men that are empowering us as women. So I think that backing alone has allowed me to become this bold woman that I am. And I think I also take it from my mom. But most importantly, I think my family, my fathers, have played this major role of allowing us to say, these are the opportunities, this is the world, it's your oyster. Get up every day and become who you want to be. And I think them affirming and giving us that push as women in the family is so amazing, because I think when we step into the world, there's no fear of anything, because this is something that we've literally saying the labeling, you know what I mean? So I think it's really just that. And I think when you're so passionate about something, it's so hard not to be loud about it.
Yes.
So I think a combination of those two, that set of confidence and fear of, no fear, I guess, in that moment, as well as the passion and being so passionate about something that you can't even keep quiet about it.
And then being in that first lecture of that industrial psychology class and listening to what it is where this was going to lead you, what vision did you have in mind at that moment when you discovered that I'm in the right place? But for you, as you were thinking about the end goal and what you're thinking about going forward, did you envision what you're doing now? Did you know? Or
The end goal was very much different.
Yeah.
I thought of myself as, a chief human capital director in a very big organization, decision maker, making the rules, changing the systems and policies, which frustrated me, because I thought I need to end up in a space where I get to create the new rules,
Yes.
because I think the way in which we are operating in organizations from a talent management perspective are very much limiting and not empowering for people to allow them to be themselves and to add value in the way that they should be. So I thought I need to rewrite those, rules and systems and policies that when we walk into organizations, we are told that it's always been like this. You know what I mean? The systems don't change. Don't even try,
Yes.
use your voice, because, you're an intern, you're new, nothing really is going to happen. That's what I was eager to do. And I think as my life began to progress, I think the entrepreneurial bug was biting more, and I was called more into that space. But I also then love it on the other side, which is the consulting and business space, because whenever I encounter, women, young people, most especially, a group that I'm very passionate about working with, then I get to then touch as many lives than I would have if I was based into one organization. So I think I had that plan, but God's plan for me was way bigger, and he needed a bigger stage to place me on so I can reach out to way more people than I would have had I just been based in one organization.
Yeah. Would you say that perhaps that unapologeticness, that wanting to impact more is a contributing factor to the decision to taking entrepreneurship and saying, I'm going to stick in this? Because entrepreneurship is not, it's one of the most difficult things to do, especially as a profession in a specific industry. You could have just, as you said, gone any other way. But was it because of that? But, wanting to change the system, wanting to change the rules, wanting to be a decision maker, which might have been a limitation in an organization. So was that the main cause and reason why you went into entrepreneurship?
Not really. It plays a huge role, and I guess it's one of the traits that actually allowed me to be able to consistently stay there and operate in that space.
Yeah.
But initially, it wasn't the reason why I went into it. I was in an organization, loved it. I was having so much of fun. But because I started with the organization in a very small stage, that I sort of reached the glass ceiling very quickly because it was a small organization. It was the start of my career. And I think we both got to a point with the organization where I felt like I've got nothing more to offer. In fact, I needed to learn more. And I think transitioning and leaving that organization to the next step that I thought was going to be a bigger organization, that's when I sort of tripped into you know, the idea of running my own business and freelancing. And it was just a temporary, you know, situation where I needed to make ends meet and do something until I really found the next big thing. And surprisingly, I enjoyed the space, and it's been a couple of years operating like that.
Yeah, and I want us to touch base on that. We're going to go to a quick ad break, and when we come back, I want to hear all about it. You know, what has this entrepreneurship journey been like for you? And also really what is next, right? We're going to be chatting all of that and so much more with the one and only Luyanda Duma straight after this ad break. Of course, we are sweating in studio because the conversation is getting heated, but also we're having fun.
Yes.
We're having a great time. Earlier on, before we went to ad break, you know, we were chatting about, we were getting into entrepreneurship. Now I want us to get in it deep inside. Tell us about your business, you know, what it is that it offers and some of the services that you get to offer for someone at home who might be interested.
So I've got a couple, but I'll just take you through just at high level what each one does. So firstly, as a talent manager, I run a business, I'm the founder of a business called Alchemy Lab Talent Management. So basically here what we do is we help craft authentic brands that, you know, individuals can use to monetize with, right? So I took a look at especially the entertainment industry, and I thought to myself, these people are hella talented, but do they understand that this is their career to them just as much as you'd find that somebody else wakes up and goes to a 9-to-5 as an accountant, is a, you know, and whatever other job title that you are. So I thought, let me sort of build a business that is going to help people such as those in the entertainment industries and freelancers like ourselves build this career that you are set to have if you are working under the conventional 9-to-5 you know, basis. So that's how it all started, and I think we've done incredibly well. We have a strong mixture of entertainment, so your DJs, you know, people that are operating in that space as speakers, as well as businesswomen, as well as people that are professionals, psychologists. And what we do is just help them build authentic brands, craft them in a way that they become, you know, they could bring in money. At the end of the day, it's all about
sustainability, honey.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what we do there. So with the management of talent, we do representation, not only if you're assigned under us, but if you're saying, hey, Luyanda, I've got this deal with the brand, I'm not too sure how I'm supposed to negotiate with it. Can you sort of assist us? We do that. We do provide strategies where you come in and say, this is what I'm trying to do. This is who I am. How do I go about it? Team comes together. We'll craft a 3-month strategy for you and help you with your implementation, and then we part ways after that. So there are various ways in which you can work with us and be a part of the organizations, apart just from signing as the main talent pool and form part of that, right? So that's just the talent management part of it. So as an HR enthusiast, I also run an organization that is called Dumisaka Mvenya, which is an HR consulting company. And this is where I help small businesses with their human capital department, right?
Amazing,
as a small business, you never think of the importance of how you manage your people because they are your biggest assets, but they can also become your biggest cost. So what I do then is help you from an administrative perspective, registration, complying with the legal, tax, SARS, contracts, you name it, right? So that's what we do for small businesses within that department. And then I'm very passionate about women. I love women. I believe in women. I have a platform called She Who Dreams. Basically what we do here, not only do I sell productivity merchandise, which is your stationery, your planners, to-do list as the queen of planning, but we also host events. I'm trying to do every 3 months, every 2 months. but because of the busy schedule, it gets hard. But I would love to consistently host events that will then empower women. Actually, last week we had our annual Vision Board Summit, basically where we come together as women and we literally now are intentional about the things that we want to achieve within the year. So there are many more events lined up there, but it's just a networking platform where women can just be a part of the community, be a part of the family, and get to meet like-minded women and grow in that space.
Wow, you are juggling the same hat but different hats.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I get you.
Because it's you, but it's also different parts of you, right? The woman, the HR, and the talent. And I'm so glad that you were able to find a way of niching or kind of needling those together.
I'm actually so grateful because I always often wonder, how do I manage to do so many things at once? And then I have to remind myself, it's under the same umbrella. The core is the same. It's just a matter of on this platform it shows up differently, on this platform it shows up as this. But ultimately, if we have to nip it down, it'll all go back to human resources, people, and how that comes about.
Now, okay, I understand the woman that not only are you, but the woman that you're trying to shape with the work that you get to do. How important is it for one to, when it is that they're crafting their business and their entrepreneurship endeavors, to find within themselves what they enjoy? Because you love and you're enthusiast in HR, and you match that with the business.
Yeah.
So would you say it's even advisable for one to do business in their passion, or is it the other way around, to find passion in your business?
I think we can always find harmony.
Okay.
In both.
Yes.
We can always find harmony in both. Luckily, for me, I can monetize on it. But for some people, they might not be able to monetize on it instantly.
Yeah.
But I think also, if I can be very transparent about my journey, in the beginning, I did not monetize on it. So, but as you begin to grow and you do more of it, and then people see the need, because the key is within the value, right? So in anything that you do, even in your passion points and your talent, you need to identify the value and package it in a way that people are going to utilize it, but also remind them why they need it. You know what I mean? Because I think we've all growing up, we know of, if you want to, you grow up, you go to school, you look for a job, you need to have this one document called a CV. And I thought, well, you don't just need a CV. Your CV has to be a particular way. For me, on the other side, as the HR practitioner, to be like, you're hired. And then people were like, well, actually, you're right. So how do we then create CVs that will top the list or top the bunch? So I had to really identify where the value add will come in a system that's already existing. And I feel like with any talent, passion, you can do that. But it does take time for it to get to a point where you can monetize on it.
An interesting balance to strike over there. And I think a lot of people get discouraged by that balance because it kind of is blurred oftentimes, right?
Definitely, especially in the beginning.
Yes.
So you're not going to wake up and know. You're not going to wake up and get it right. Like I said, everything and anything done consistently over time. Play the long game. Over time is then what will become sustainable and what will work.
Challenges in entrepreneurship? What's been...
Everything.
The way your face was like...
Girl.
Challenges, and after following that with the benefits.
The nice thing is that I would never trade any of the lessons that came from the challenges, because then they've allowed me to position myself better.
Yes.
And they've allowed me to stay in the game. So can never take anything away, would not have it any other way, because I think they were so necessary in teaching me a skill and also exercising a muscle that I would need for the next best challenge. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
So if I had never, overcome the first fear or imposter syndrome or challenge, then I would have never become this woman that I am today. And the challenges that are also coming, I will not be able to face them. So one day, inevitable, they happen to everyone. No matter how fabulous you are, you're going to experience challenges. And it's the same for everyone. At some point, at some season, it's a financial challenge where your business will probably need funding or is at a stage where it needs that. And some season it would be imposter syndrome. And some season, it's not knowing what the business is, where you just have the passion, you just carry, the idea, but you don't know how to corporatize it. So I think you go through all of those in different seasons. But the benefit is that once you overcome, you learn from it, and then it becomes, it becomes something, right? So nothing is ever just mundane. Nothing is ever just, because God is just picking on you. No, it's not that. Trust me, you're going to need that lesson for the challenges that are going to come in the future. You may not understand it at that very moment because it's frustrating, but I think as and when you progress and you grow within your space, you sort of understand, now I understand why I went through that. But I think the beauty of it all, and how I've managed to stay in the game and overcome it, is that I've nurtured something that was very, very important. And I think is very important when you build a business, which is your network, right?
Okay.
I think we underestimate, and we think of the saying that, who you are, like the people that you know are the sum of your money, basically. We underestimate the power of that, and it sounds like a cliche, but really, guys, who you have around you and your network can really transform and make your journey so much way better or way worse, right? And they always tell us you are the sum of the people, 5 people that you have around you. So if you don't audit that and don't nurture the ones that need to stay around you in that season, then you're in trouble. So I've overcome some of the biggest challenges because of who I knew. I was able to call Vuyo and be like, girl, I think I'm ready to branch outside South Africa. How do I do it? But had I not known you or nurtured relationships with you, then I wouldn't have those answers. So do you understand the power of not only meeting people, but nurturing those relationships, because we all need each other.
Yeah. Your network is your net worth, right? And you get within your industry, you get to kind of, work with people from the talent to clients in a level that takes something out of them.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, right, with talent, where you have to bring out of them. Sometimes they're not in their best days. Sometimes
remind them of their power. They're tired. We have to show up.
How do you find that grace within yourself as well?
I think always reminding myself at that very moment, and it allows. I always say that managing talent is not easy, right? Because you are dealing with a skill that sometimes that. You know what I mean? Now you want to be the talent. So it requires a certain level of knowing yourself and mastering and being fulfilled and content within who you are. And I think because I know myself so much and I'm so obsessed with myself, I'm never in a position where I would not bring out the best of you because I want it. You know what I mean? So I think the basis of it all is to know yourself first before you can work on anyone else, because we're human. We are envious. We want things that look glamorous and we want things that work for other people. So I think the biggest thing, before being in a space like that and even operating anywhere, is that if you know yourself, are very self-aware and content with who you are, when you enter and operate in spaces like that, you want to bring out the best of somebody else because it doesn't take away anything from you. So I also understand that when I do the best with, let's say, for instance, Gwenzo, which is one of my talents, then not only am I helping Gwenzo show up as his best self, but when he shows up as his best self, I'm able to sit back and be like, girl, well done, because you are part of getting that done. You are part of that. So understanding and knowing when to control the ego
it's top tier, which is why you're doing so well in this industry. You've mastered the game. You've understood, how to make it work and how to maneuver and move around it. As a female, as a black female. I mean, I take my hats off to you for being able to do that.
Thank you.
What are some of the things that you're hoping to accomplish within this industry? More talent, perhaps? Expanding more of your business? What would you say are some of the things that you've been noting down in your vision board? Manifesting, putting out as some of the next steps going forward, new chapter, etc.
I think for me, it's always been a quality over quantity thing.
Okay.
I don't have a specific number to say I would like to sign so many people, but I want to make sure that I do the best with the number that I have and the people that I get to have an encounter with and work with. So it's more of a quality thing and making sure that I never derail from the value aspect of the business, because that's how I'm going to keep my business sustainable, that I keep that value and I keep reminding people why they need our services. So I think for me, the next big step is constantly to maintain that value and sort of grow it. And I think I was saying today when I was answering, I did a Q&A on Instagram, and I think we were speaking with the one lady had asked that she's struggling to figure out what she wants and who she is, right? And I said, master yourself and everything will fall into place. And I think that's what the same concept that I adopt in this season of my business is that I just want to master the art, the skill, the value that we bring to people. And I think everything else will fall into place. God will position us and put us on the platforms that we need. He will bring the talent that needs that skill at that very time. So I think we are in a season of just head down, building, working on the value aspect, working on the competitive advantage as well. And I think we will then get to a point where I think now we're going to be gunning for businesses, the big contracts, the big talent, the what, because we are 1 year old. So I think we're still in the process where we just want to build and learn and savor in what's happening in the industry. What are the trends? We still need to master all those things. So that's the phase that we're in. What to expect, definitely bigger and better things from our talent. We work tirelessly to make sure that every single person that we have an encounter with and that we sign in the business is doing very well. And I adopt the same ethos within my clients as well from an HR perspective and managing those small businesses is that when I walk into a small business, I want to walk out of there with 50 plus employees, with well-oiled system, policies, procedures, and people that respect the business and the business that respects people, vice versa.
Yes.
So I'm definitely in that season in all my businesses.
Amazing. And we are going to be here clapping hands, halal from the side, because we know that's the trajectory of all great things coming up soon. By the time this gets to air, something very special would have happened.
Hello, and it's been moving the whole time.
Very something special, and by the time this is, you would have had a different name next to Luyanda.
The first name, actually. I can't wait to say, instead of saying HR enthusiast, entrepreneur, I'm going to be like, I'm a mom. I'm a mom first.
Yes.
Definitely.
Are you excited? What does that even feel like? Because you're waiting now, right? You're in the process of you waiting. What are you excited about the most?
Seeing this little human. I think that's my biggest thing, seeing this little human. But I think with all the love and support and affirmations that I've been getting from people around me, I'm excited to see, because I'm very passionate about my work, right? I give it my all. I'm very passionate about, helping other people. And, everything that I do, I give it my all. So I can't wait to see what my all in this instance is going to be like. It's literally going to be one of my favorite projects, if I may put it that way. So I'm super duper excited. I did say when I was crafting my vision board that this year I'm in my mom era. Guys, I'm still running my businesses. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But the season that I'm in, I'm really in my mom era because I can never be a first-time mom ever again. So I'm really going to fully bask in this moment. And I'm glad that I've built, businesses that are able to run without me. I'm glad that I have the support system that I do and the stuff that I do to then help me, allow me to just take a step back and bask in this moment, be fully present and be fully in. I'm not going anywhere. You're still going to see a lot of me. But I'm really in that season where I get to enjoy this precious gift.
You're glowing as you're expressing that because of the excitement of the moment. You've built, amazing businesses, and those in themselves, one would call them babies too, right? Now it's a physical.
They are. But all those other 3 babies can take it.
They can take it back step. We can't wait to meet this little one. I know you as well.
Thank you.
They are there kicking and saying hi to you.
Hi guys. Trust me, he is here greeting everyone.
But congratulations, as I said, we can't wait to see you glowing in that chapter of your life.
Thank you so much.
And embracing that part of your life. But thank you so much for joining us on the show. What words do you want to leave our audiences with? Last final words. Anything from your heart that you'd like to say to them before we say goodbye?
I think, we often look at women like yourself and myself and platforms like these where you speak to stars and you speak to people that have done incredibly well. And I really want the other person sitting on the other side watching not to think that it's not possible. I really want them to not look at this conversation and think, well, who am I? Or this is unattainable and so forth. I really hope that platforms like this that you've created will constantly be an affirmation to people that are watching on the other side that not only is it possible, but really you can do it too. At some point, we used to watch people on TV. We used to watch Bonang host a TV show and watch all these other people, but look at you now on the other side, and I don't think at that very moment you thought that one day that would be me, right?
Yeah.
You may have thought it, but you didn't believe that it was going to be possible. So I hope that there's that level of belief that is sparked within you to know and be reminded that anything is literally possible.
Yeah.
Because I also didn't think that one day I'd meet people like yourself, sit in spaces like this, have an encounter with people that I've had an encounter with. But I think the more I see of Black women doing great things, the more I'm just like, it's happening, it's possible. So I really hope that it really just shakes and awakens. And if this is the confirmation and the push that you needed, that this, show and episode becomes that reminder.
Yeah, it definitely did for me as well. A reminder that it is possible. A reminder that you can be fierce and fabulous and still, start a business, run a business, and unapologetically do so. Ladies and gents, oh man, I had such an amazing time with our fabulous guest today on the show, the one and only Luyanda Duma. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Luyanda, for being on the show. Of course, this is the Vuyo Joboda Show right here on VN. I am your darling Vuyo Joboda, and for myself and the lovely Luyanda, it is goodbye and God bless.
Thank you.